one deck that I've been trying to work on, literally all format, is Hexeblaumon. Not the best deck in the world, but I think I found a way to make it tier 1. So let's talk about it. What's up guys, we're here with a BT5 deck list going over my version of Hexeblaumon. I've spent countless hours over the format trying to come up with a Hexeblaumon list that consistently beats Lord Nightmon, Rookie Rush, Security Control, and Purple. And it's been a real freaking struggle, I'll tell you that. I do think I have the right deck. I think the cards that I'm playing in this particular deck do it a little bit better, and I have evidence to prove I have over a 50% rate on all those matchups now with this deck. Full matches, a lot of matches. I played a lot of freaking matches with Hexeblaumon this format just to come up with a good Hexeblaumon list. And I got it! So I'm going to show it off, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, turn that notification bell on to smash potatoes. That way you know when all these amazing Digimon videos come out. Blah 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 blah. Also, I'm going to take this time to shamelessly advertise my new channel. It's going to be a review channel. You guys should go ahead, give it a like and a comment on the new videos, and subscribe as well. I do want to take that video channel and just kind of make it explode a little bit, because I do like reviewing and critiquing things, and that channel is a good outlet for me to do that, where I can't really do that here, where this channel is going to be more focused on gaming stuff. So if you guys want to do that, I'd really appreciate that. Without further ado, let's talk about this deck. Starting with the babies, we're doing 4 copies of Upamon, once per turn when attacking. If your opponent controls something with no sources, draw a card. It comes up a lot, nets you a lot of cards. Sometimes it's good to just promote your egg and attack and draw a card if you need to. So honestly, really good egg. Our 5th egg is actually Wanyamon here. Your turn, where your opponent has 2 more cards with no Digivolution cards, it has plus 2000 DP. This comes up a lot and lets you tackle over kind of big things you might not be able to otherwise. Also allows you to always check security and be a little less risky, because you don't always have jamming. Now for rookies, we play 6 rookies that basically allow you to source strip. We play the 4 Belucomon and we play the 2 Gomamon promo. They both say once per turn, when you trash a Digivolution card from one of your opponent's Digimon, gain a memory. The reason that I'm playing 4 and 2 is because our local meta here, for some reason, is really big on security control and lately black, which means there's a lot of Ultimate Flare lying around. This does not lose to Ultimate Flare. Gomamon does lose to Ultimate Flare. So I think 4-2 is fine. The hard dropping sometimes doesn't come up. Sometimes it's actually kind of beneficial to choke, really, which is kind of interesting. But this is the lineup I prefer right now. You know, if the meta wasn't so black, it wasn't so Ultimate Flare, you know, and security control focused, I'd probably do 3 and 3, or even 4 and 2, or 4 and 3 or something. But 6 Source Strip rookies are fine. I don't need any more than that, because you have other cards that Source Strip for you. And yeah, that's it for that. We play 4 2-drop 3000s, because those are good to have and they evolve for free. Nothing else to say there. And now we're playing something that not everybody plays, but I absolutely adore. 3 copies of Stravomon. On play, real top 3 cards of your deck, add a Digimon card with Hybrid and a blue or a blue tamer. So you can add itself, you can also add Lobomon, and then you can add any of your blue tamers, which is very, very strong. Usually I like to hard play these as soon as I get them, unless it's important that I start to build a stack. Otherwise, it's good to get tamers, because your deck really needs its tamers on board to actually succeed and do well. And yeah, so 3 Stravomon, really good. That makes the rookie lineup at 13, and that's not a big deal. I think this is fine. Champion lineup is very straightforward. We're playing 4 copies of Paildramon. When Digivolving, trash 2 Digivolution cards on the bottom of your opponent's Digimon. Really strong Source Strip card, and you can do it kind of often, so that's good. We're playing 4 of the 1-cost blocker, because we need a 1-cost evolution in the deck, and the blocker is the only one that's kind of good, as opposed to Gorillamon, which doesn't really do anything. I'd rather have a blocker in case I need a blocker. So we play 4 blockers, and now 3 Lobomon. Evolve onto your Tamer for 2, and then attack with it. That's really the whole point of Lobomon. This deck is actually a little more aggressive than other Hexeblaumon lists I've seen, which is kind of why maybe it's a little more successful than other decks lists I've been trying with it. Honestly, this is going to sound really weird, but I think Lobomon is the best card in the deck. Yep. We're playing 4 Chris Paildramon. Chris Paildramon says when Digivolving, trash a source from the bottom of all your opponent's Digimon. So it's a widespread source strip, which is really cool. Also gives you security +1 if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution cards in play during your turn. So that does make it more aggressive, and it's a little better than the Weregarurumon because of the source stripping. But we play 4 and 2. we play 6 cards that give you security +1, making the deck a little more aggressive and a little more quick to win, which is important. The other level 5s we play are 3 Monzimon. We play Monzimon because sometimes you'll brick and dropping that for 5 is fine. Sometimes you'll have enough memory to drop that for 5 and evolve into a level 6 that turn, which is good, especially if it's Hexablau. Monzimon is just, I think, the best level 5 in this deck just because of what the deck tries to accomplish, and it needs to really get to its level 6s in order to actually succeed, unless you're going to Lobomon Strap, but that's only endgame. So I think Monzimon is perfectly fine. This makes 9 level 5s, and I do adore this lineup a whole lot. Level 6s, the star of the show himself, Hexeblaumon. When attacking, you trash 2 Digivolution cards from the bottom of your opponent's Digimon. If your opponent controls something with no Digivolution cards, it gains jamming. Jamming is very powerful, obviously, being able to check security and only losing to option cards is a powerful ability. Then during all turns, the opponent's Digimon with no sources cannot attack or block, which is really good if you're trying to go for game on your turn. Unfortunately, unless you're like source stripping a level 7 or sometimes even a level 6, Hexablau isn't that good. Because if you source strip and they only have level 5 on the field, well, they can evolve up to level 6 and they can kind of just ruin your day. Another deck that kind of poops all over this deck is Shoutmon, because sure, you can source strip to level 6, but they can just evolve Shoutmon on top of it, right? Green kind of similar, they can just evolve Reflationmon onto other level 6 greens. So against certain decks, Hexablau is just not good at all, which is why the deck is kind of meh. But if you can do this on a Lord Knightmon, that's really freaking good. So it's just about timing and when you want to do it. And if you can give it security +1 with one of your security +1 level 5s, it makes it a lot more aggressive, and with jamming, it does end the game a lot quicker, which is something you need to consider, because having Hexablau to control only will take you so far. I think a lot of Hexablau players lean on Hexablau's controlling aspect a little too much, and not so much on its aggressive aspect. You need to balance the best of both worlds here, and I think that's how you do Hexablau properly, which is why I like the line the way I like it in this deck. Other level 6, I've been convinced to run All-Force Digimon as a 2-of. For those of you that are unaware, during your turn, when one of your blue tamers becomes unsuspended, you can unsuspend it, and then you can do that as many times as you want per turn, and then once per turn you get memory when you do that. Basically, All-Force Digimon is an OTK machine, and as long as you have something with no sources and you have a Wergarumon or something, you're probably killing them as long as it survives. As long as it survives is very important, because the only real boost to DP in this deck is the Wanyamon. So ideally, if I get Wanyamon, I'll prioritize an All-Force Digimon play if I can. If you have Upamon under it, it's fine. It just might die to everything, which is something you need to consider. But yeah, it's a good backup attacker, and it honestly can win the game sometimes. So it's fine. It's really good. I wouldn't want to play anything else over that. Level 7s, just the 2 Omnimon with Blitz. When Digivolving, unsuspend and Blitz at your opponent. This is good for a game-winning shot. It does have applications too, where you can return level 6 from underneath it to prevent it from destruction or return a deck by a card effect. That does come up against security control, and that's honestly fine. This deck actually does really decent against security control, assuming you're not going the All-Force Digimon and then you lose to like a Gaia Force immediately type of thing. This deck does well, and Omnimon is one of those cards that helps you against security control. Again, something I have to worry about a lot here in Belleville. 3 Sora and Joe. Start of your turn, if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution sources, gain 2 memory. That's honestly just really powerful, and it happens more than you think. And if it doesn't happen, it's because your opponent's trying to play around it, usually, and that could create some awkward situations for you to capitalize on. So I do like the 3 Sora and Joe. Also, when you tackle blue with a blue Digimon, you can spend this tamer to trash up to 2 Digivolution cards from the bottom of your opponent's Digimon. So like with a Hexablau, you can trash a whole freaking line, which is really good. And with All Force, it triggers the ability to restand. You can use Sora and Joe even if your opponent controls nothing with Digivolution sources, allowing you to gain extra attacks with All Force Digimon. So 3 Sora and Joe is great in this deck. 4 is too much, but 3 is perfect. We also play 2 Memory Tamer Matt Ishida. It's the guy that says just start your turn with 3 memory, so that's always good. And then when you play Blue Digimon, you can suspend this to trash the bottom Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon. Really good with specifically Strabomon. You can play a Strabomon, net 2 cards potentially, and rip a source, which is really good. Also does trigger with All Force Digimon. A little slower than Sora and Joe in that sense, because you have to actually pay memory and play something. But, you know, if you get it off, it is helpful. That's it for the Tamers. Our last 4 cards are 4 Hammer Sparks. Not everyone that plays all Hexablau plays 4 Hammer Sparks. I don't quite understand why. It's one of those cards that you can flip in security and kind of just win the game sometimes. It also has the ability to maybe allow you to win for games sometimes, because you're doing an all-force attacking turn, or Hexablaw attacking turn with Omni, and you might want to drop a Lobomon just to kind of seal the deal. And it's really hard to drop your boy Lobomon here if you don't have the memory to do it, right? But having the Hammer Sparks access allows you to go a little more aggressive with Lobomon, save him up for a potentially game-ending turn that your opponent can't interact with. The only way that they can delete Tamers is if they play Zwart Defeat, and that's it right now. Not all decks are playing Zwart Defeat. Makes the whole strat a whole lot better. So I do think 4 Hammer Spark is the play. I've tried things like Kaida's Breath, I've tried things like friggin' Aqua Viper, I even tried Mad Dog Fire, because some guy won a tournament with it. It didn't work for me. I do like the 4 Hammer Spark, it's consistent, it gets the job done. And that's it for that. And that's my Hexablaumon list, guys. Honestly, I do really like this deck. I do like it. It's probably tier 1, if, and only if, you play your cards right. This is one of those decks that if you don't play it perfectly, you will lose. And if you brick, you will lose. But if you can play properly, not brick, and be consistent enough and do things in the proper order, you shouldn't have a real issue beating the best decks of the format. And I've proven that with this deck, so it's good. And if you guys want to try it out, you definitely should, and let me know what you think in the comments. And with that, we're done, so I'll see you guys later. Take care.